Hi, Leos. Happy birthday and welcome to your August 2018 tarot reading. We have a Celtic Cross spread in front of us. That's normally a 10 card spread, but you did get an extra card in the position of the environment and in the outcome position. I'm seeing a few different messages here, actually. So let me just try to pace myself, go through them one by one. Starting with the main situation, we have the Chariot. So this is the major arcana card for Cancer. Some of you could be dealing with the Cancer. If we layer this, it could be saying that during the time of Cancer, you were really working hard, and maybe, we're getting, I think the title for your reading last month was Recognition. I can't remember all the specifics of it, but maybe that's saying that that's what this is about. During the time of Cancer, you received recognition. This could be referring to travel as well with the Chariot. Usually, if it's travel, it's long distance travel. It's not an hour long road trip. It's usually air travel, maybe even overseas travel. This could even be referring to you getting a car. Maybe you're trying to decide on getting a car. I remember in June, definitely your reading was all about you working really hard. I remember the title for that one was Know Your Why. Just seemed like you were really, really plugging away at work. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe you're like, all right, you know what? I worked really hard these past few months. It's my birthday. I want to get myself a new car, right? It could be that. A few different things. I also see this as representing the lunar nodes. The moon basically, when it comes to eclipses, which we had one in July in Cancer, which is your 12th house, and we're going to have one in your sign coming up August 11th. And then there's actually going to be a full moon eclipse actually on the 27th of July. I'm recording this on the 21st of July, so that hasn't happened just yet. But if you're seeing this in August, you would have just had that happen. During these eclipses, with the nodes are never too far away from those eclipses, meaning that if you have an eclipse in Cancer, and now we're going to have one in Leo, the nodes aren't too far away from there. So the nodes are still in Leo and Aquarius. So this could just be referring to the eclipses once again and something taking place there. I'm in the challenge position. We have the Seven of Cups. So there's a few things this could be. First of all, I always point out to people there's a bunch of different cups there, and then you see the person is in the dark. So to me, that points to confusion. They have a lot of choices in front of them, but they're not seeing them too clearly. They're unsure which direction to go in. So let's look at that at a few different levels. Going back to the example where maybe you want to get a car, right? Maybe you're trying to figure out, do I want to get a sports car? Do I want to get an SUV? Do I want to get a sedan? So you're really just trying to weigh over your options and you're having trouble deciding. If that's the case, let me point out that Mercury is going to be retrograde basically for the first few weeks of August. And it's really not going to be at full strength again until right around Labor Day in early September. So if you can, and especially if this is how you're feeling, you're confused about which way to go when it comes to purchasing a vehicle, try to put it off until early September if you can. I mean, if you have to get one now, what can you do, right? But that's one angle. If this is travel, could be that too. Maybe you're confused about trying to decide where you want to go. You've just been working hard. Like, you know what? I want to do something for my birthday. And you're trying to figure out where you want to go. This could also say that there could be some confusion around travel. Given that the Chariot's in the upright, though, I don't think it's going to be a major issue. Like, for example, I don't think you would have car issues. If it were in the reverse, I would say watch out for that. I mean, always just check your tire pressure at the very least, but I don't think it's going to be car issues per se. Could just be delays. You might get caught in crazy traffic or something. Maybe your flight gets delayed, something along those lines. That could be what this is pointing to. Or it could just be saying, I mean, you did just have an eclipse in your 12th house. So it could just be saying you have confusion from that. That could definitely cause confusion. This is actually Scorpio card, but it's blended with Neptune energy. So it's the last 10 degrees of Scorpio. So for a small percentage of you could be dealing with someone who has their birthday around that time, but the majority of you, I think, is just saying there's confusion. That's what's going on. You have that Neptune fog kind of going right now, and you're not sure which way to go just yet. And again, with Mercury about to go retrograde in your sign too, that certainly makes sense. So wouldn't surprise me at all if that's the case. All right, in the position of the foundation, we have the Queen of Cups. This is actually my Cancer card. So you could be dealing with a Cancer. This could again be pointing to something that you put in place in the time of Cancer. But yeah, this could be any water sign too, actually, if it's a person you're dealing with. So it could be a Scorpio, Cancer, or Pisces. They are in the upright, so that's a good sign. I'm going to come back to this card a little bit later when we get to the environment position, because when I was saying I saw a few different scenarios, this card was one of the ones that stuck out to me. But yeah, I feel like most likely this is dealing with a person, or given that Cancer represents the fourth house, and your oracle card is no place like home, this could just be saying that where you're traveling, you could be traveling home to visit your family, let's say. It could just be that you've been traveling so much for work, and now you decided, you know what, it's my birthday, I'm going to take some time off and relax. Maybe you're not necessarily traveling somewhere exotic, but you're coming back home if you've been doing a lot of business travel. That's a possibility. In the past position, we have the 10 of Wands. Now, I definitely remember this was in your reading in June, and this was one of the things that made me say know your why, as far as it looked like you were really, really working hard. I was like, just make sure that, you really know what you're doing it for, because it looked like there might have been a significant other that was feeling neglected, I believe. Like I said, for some reason, I'm remembering that reading more than I was the July reading, but I think that was more or less an extension of that, meaning that you were getting the recognition from all the hard work at least. And with this in the past position, this is kind of telling me that, yeah, you really have been plugging away. And now, whether it's vacation or, like I said, coming home, it seems like you're going to take some kind of break, at least for a little bit, and reconnect with either family or your significant other. In the present position, so I'm recording this on July 21st. I can't remember if I said that or not, but present position, then this would be right around the beginning of August, most likely. And we have the 10 of Pentacles. So this is about stability, financial success. Certainly ties in with the previous readings we talked about, and with the 10 of Wands in the past, meaning that, hey, all the work you were putting in, the end result could be this. This is another card that we'll come back to once we start to talk about the environment card. But to me, this looks like it's saying some kind of success, and this would certainly tie in as well with whether you're, maybe because you work so hard, now you have so many places you could travel because you have more money than you usually do when you go on vacation, and now you're just like, oh man, I could go almost anywhere, and you're trying to decide where, right? Or again, going back to the card thing, all right, I worked really hard, busted my behind for a few months, got this money. What do I want to do? I want to get a car. What kind? In the near future, we have the Hermit card. So the Hermit is actually the major arcana card for Virgo. This could be saying you're dealing with Virgo, but really I'm not seeing it that way. I'm seeing that you're just really trying to mull over a decision of some kind. The reason I say that, it's in the near future, for one. Maybe this is pointing to saying that the best bet would be to wait until the time of Virgo, which is still, that's the end of August, so it would still fit in with the August reading, but it could just be saying, think it over, and you'll have more clarity regarding what direction you want to go in August. Because one thing that sticks out to me is he has his lantern pointing at the Seven of Cups and the Chariot. So to me, that's saying that you're really just going to be really, really buckling down and trying to make a decision regarding whatever this is. All right. And then in the position of your influence in a situation, we have the Three of Wands. This is technically an Aries card mixed with the Leo energy, but this could just be saying, usually the term most used with this card is waiting for your ships to come in. So that could be it too. But again, this kind of points to travel to me as well. So maybe someone's coming to visit you. Or again, I feel like more likely you're the one who's most likely traveling, but it could be either way. Or maybe again, this is an extension of what you were doing as far as work goes. You've put all these things into place, and even though the Ten of Pentacles is showing up in the present there, maybe there's still more you're waiting on. Either way, this is a pretty good card to get. And this also does show that you're not going to make any rash moves, which is a good thing too, because like I said, you will have Mercury retrograde in your sign this month. So, and then with the Seven of Cups as your challenge, given the fact that you might not be seeing things too clearly, these two cards together are a really good combination, because it tells me you're not going to make a rash decision. You are going to think it over and make sure that you're really making the right move. And now when we move to the environment position, this is where the different scenarios come in. So it's going to get a little interesting here. But all right, we have the Moon and we have Ace of Cups. So let me just say it right now. The first message that popped in my head looking at these two cards was potential pregnancy. So, and if you guys aren't looking to get pregnant or get someone pregnant, keep that in mind and, take the precautions. But this card, for a lot of people, I know they point to the Empress as a card of pregnancy, but I mean, you could kind of see some symbolism that could point to why I would think that this is a pregnancy card. That's how it's worked out for me from time to time. This usually does point to a pregnancy. So keep that in mind. And then with the Moon, the Moon is Cancer's ruler. So Cancer, again, is fourth house, feminine energy. It can be deception, especially with the Seven of Cups energy there in the challenge position. I'm not really seeing that though necessarily. What I would say would be more likely with this combination is, again, we have to point to the lunar activity coming up. You're going to have a full moon lunar eclipse on July 27th, I believe. Like I said, I'm recording this the 21st. So that's going to be in your opposite sign. So that could be when this conception would happen, let's say. That's a possibility. There's also going to be a full moon towards the end of August in your 8th house. That could be pointing to that as well. Keep that in mind. Or this could even be the new moon, solar eclipse in your sign on the 11th. So basically that entire month-long period, like I said, if you're not trying to get pregnant, keep that in mind. That just jumped out at me, and some of the other things that led me to believe that could be what it is. When I was looking at the Queen of Cups card, I mean, I've seen this card a million times, and I've seen this, but for some reason my eyes were drawn to the children there. So that was another indicator, and then it all just kind of were connecting for me, because then I was looking at this card and I was thinking about, okay, obviously if you look like that guy, you might not be getting anyone pregnant necessarily, but what I thought about was, if this were the person's thought process, if you were working very hard lately, for example, and now you have the financial rewards from doing so, the way he's looking at this family, to me that gave me the thought of someone thinking about possibly expanding their family. So maybe, I don't know your story better than you guys do, but maybe that was why you've been working hard all along. Maybe you've been planning to expand your family for a while now, and now you actually have the resources to do so. And maybe that's what this is pointing to. You're saying, well, are we pregnant? Are we not pregnant? What's going on here? If that's the case, you could find out about that around these moon cycles, or that could be when the conception is. So keep that in mind. Like I said, it's not the only thing. Obviously, not everyone's going to be getting pregnant or getting someone pregnant this month, but that message kind of jumped out at me pretty strong. So keep that in mind. Um, on the negative, yeah, it could be that someone makes a new love offer to you if you're single. And if that's the case, maybe there's some deception there. But again, with the moon in the upright, I know a lot of tarot readers do see it as deception. I usually don't see it as deception outright, more of a confusion thing. And again, that points back to me saying again, you have Mercury retrograde in your sign this month, most of this month, because even when it goes direct towards the end of August, it's still going to be in shadow. So if that's the case, maybe that's what you're thinking about, starting a new relationship, right? Or even taking it to the next level. But this leads me to believe this particular scenario is for singles. And if you get a new love offer, there might be some confusion behind it. If that's the case, try to wait it out a bit if you can. Don't outright reject the person if you're interested, but maybe just make it move a little bit slower than you normally would, put it that way. All right, and it looks like that might be the page you're on anyway, because you do have Three of Wands and the Hermit. Those are, not necessarily rash decision type cards, so I think you're in good shape there. And then you have the Queen of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. So that's another card of stability and thinking, that's a Capricorn card for me basically. So Capricorns are very deliberate in their thought processes as well. But yeah, so again, the Moon card, for example, I don't see it as deception. The example I usually give people is if you're in a dark room, an unfamiliar room, and you wake up in the middle of the night, your eyes haven't adjusted to the darkness, and you have to, let's say, go to the bathroom or something, right? You might walk really slow to make sure you don't bump your, stub your toe on something because you're not familiar with the room. Whereas if the room were lit up, you'd have no problem navigating it, right? Something as simple as that. So feel your way through the situation. If it's a new love offer, just feel it out. Take your time. Early September, you should be seeing things a lot more clearly if that's the case. But yeah, for a lot of you, that pregnancy message really jumped out at me. So keep that in mind. Like I said, if you want to get pregnant, awesome. Keep yourselves busy this month to make sure that's more likely to happen. Whereas if you're not looking to do that, take precautions. All right. In the hopes or fears position, we have the Four of Swords. So again, with the confusion energy, with the Three of Wands here, with the Hermit, I think this is just saying that you want to relax a little bit. I mean, you've certainly, like I said, the past couple of months, it looked like you were putting in a lot of work. So maybe now you're just at the point where you're like, all right, let me just kick back, even if it's, just a brief vacation or a long weekend for your birthday or something like that. Definitely just seems like you just want a little time. And that's all right if that's the case. Like I said, the travel should go well. There could just be some delays, that's all. The Chariot in the upright to me shows that overall the trip would still be good. Just, might have to put up with some annoying delays. Nothing major there. All right, and then in the outcome position, we have the Page of Swords and the Knight of Swords. Both of these cards could be about messages. Again, let me point out the fact that we are going to have Mercury in retrograde in your sign. So these are both communication cards. So let's say maybe someone says something to you and you might take it the wrong way and, respond aggressively because Mercury is retrograde in your sign. Keep that in mind if you can. It looks like you have a lot of introspective energy going for you anyway, and then just keep in mind between that and the moon, you might not be seeing things fully clearly, so if you try to keep that in mind, you should be able to avoid any big issues. But I gotta point this out again. I was thinking to myself, well, if that moon with the Ace of Cups is pointing again to conception, right? if you were to conceive at the end of August, around the end of May would be when you would be expecting to have that child, which is the time of Gemini, and this is a Gemini card. And he's looking at the page, which would be a young Gemini. So keep that in mind. Again, like I said, I've never had a reading like this where I've seen so many pregnancy indicators. So got to put it out there for those of you who, if that's your goal, like I said, try to reach for that goal, if you will. We'll just say that this month, then you should have some success. If it's not your goal, I can't say I didn't give you a message there as far as taking precautions, but it just really jumped out at me, like really strong. So keep that in mind. All right, and let's look at your Oracle card now, wrap everything up. It says no place like home, and the number is 50, if that has any significance for you. We'll just look at the artwork for a second. Put that there, actually. And I'll read the messages from the book. So yeah, like I said, there is some Cancer energy. Cancer is not your fourth house, but it is the fourth house, natural fourth house. So this could be saying that you're just going home. You know, maybe, like I said, all this hard work you've been doing, you've been traveling all over the country or maybe even overseas, who knows, depending on your job. And now, you know, for your birthday, you have some time to actually come back home and relax with your significant other or visit family, whatever the case may be. Let's see what the card itself has to say. All right, it says essential meanings: authenticity, coming home to yourself, feeling at home, arriving at a place where you just fit, being comfortable in your own skin. Okay, that's certainly a possibility as well. I really saw this as more of like a physical travel thing, but it'll be different for everyone. It says the Oracle's message: home feels safe and secure. It's a comfortable place to rest and create, a place that is known and you can call yours. This card signals that your ability to trust yourself and feel at home in your own skin is beginning to solidify as you claim your dignity and integrity, aspects of yourself no one can take away from you. You know who you are. You hold your head high, yet with neither pride nor humility. Instead, you stand as the observer, seeing through the eyes of your soul. This puts you in a position of power and strength. Authenticity is your home. You are safe here in the house of your spirit and spirit. All right, so a couple things popped out to me there. You stand as the observer. That to me pointed to the Hermit card, looking at the Chariot. So it's maybe saying you're looking at your successes, waiting for your ships to come in, right? But like it said, free from ego. You just know, hey, I put in the work, I should get the rewards. For those of you, if this resonated as a relationship reading, I'll read that message. Lovers, friends, and companion animals are at home in your life right now. You are in sync and full of love, and you can be secure in the knowledge that it is reciprocated. Relationships elicit a sense of emotional safety, comfort, and the best aspects of familiarity now. Be home in this relationship. Together, you add to the love of the world. Well, metaphorically speaking, together you add to the love of the world. I'm sorry, once again, that also might point to a pregnancy thing. But I don't know why that's on my brain. I'm not a Leo. That's Leo either, so I'm not worrying about that for me per se, but for some of you, that message is really popping out at me strong for some reason. But let's just say on a more mundane level, maybe with all the travel, maybe this Ace of Cups is just saying you feel like you've renewed your relationship. You know, maybe you've been apart from your significant other for so long. Now you're back home and you just feel like, oh man, you know, I'm reconnecting with this person, you know, because the moon could signify love as well. You know, like I said, I don't necessarily see this as deception here. If it is deception, it's more in the confusion end than actual deception. That was done deliberately, so keep that in mind. Alright, and for those of you that's resonated more financially, we'll read the prosperity message. When you act in an authentic way, you command the world to reflect back to you exactly what is in your highest good. Your business choices, the investments you make, and the creative projects you immerse yourself in are powerfully on point. Why? Because when you are fully yourself, radically accepting everything in your journey to date, both successes and failures, you will see the divinity in all things. Abundance is a natural progression when you experience this kind of authenticity. All right. So, I mean, all these messages overall do seem positive. Like I said, gotta just say it one more time, the pregnancy thing just really jumped out at me for some reason. So, just be wary of that if that's something you're trying to avoid, or if it's something you do want, keep that in mind too. The more you try, the better chances of success you have. But I do see that there's definitely some support for that. And Jupiter is in your fourth house right now, just started moving direct again, and eventually it'll be in your fifth house. So both of those could point to expanding your family and children. So it's another indicator that the stars would support that if that's really your goal. If it's not, you've been warned in that regard too. But that's it, guys. So happy birthday once again. I'll see you all next month.